Welcome to another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins and unbelievable treasures hiding in plain sight. Because today we are about to uncover the jaw-dropping story of a 1982 1-cent coin that could be worth an astonishing $67 million due to its unbelievable errors, mysterious production anomalies, and the incredible circumstances that make this humble penny one of the most valuable coins ever known to exist. So if you've ever wondered how something as small and ordinary as a Lincoln cent could end up being worth more than luxury mansions, supercars, and even entire islands, this is the story that will absolutely leave you amazed. Because the 1982 1-cent coin is not just a regular piece of copper-plated metal, it's a piece of history filled with secrets, minting mistakes, and twists that collectors and experts are still trying to fully understand. So let's unravel why this tiny coin, minted over 4 decades ago, could make someone a millionaire overnight, and why it's become one of the most talked about numismatic mysteries of our time. As we travel back to 1982, a pivotal year for the United States Mint, a year when the transition between copper and zinc composition changed everything about the Lincoln cent series, creating confusion, errors, and a variety of strange hybrids that would later fuel some of the rarest discoveries in modern coinage history. Because in 1982, the Mint made a significant decision to switch the pennies composition from 95% copper and 5% zinc to a much cheaper version of 97.5% zinc coated with just 2.5% copper. And this sudden material shift was meant to reduce production costs as copper prices skyrocketed. But it also created chaos in the minting process, as both copper and zinc planchets were used in the same year, leading to overlapping strikes, double strikes, wrong planchette strikes, mixed metal anomalies, and transitional errors that would make collectors go wild decades later when they began identifying coins that should not even exist according to official records. And the 1982 1-cent that has now been valued at $67 million stands out as the crown jewel among all those errors, because it combines multiple impossible characteristics in one coin, blending aspects of both the copper and zinc cents, showing doubled dies, misaligned details, and a strange off-metal coloration that even advanced numismatic laboratories have struggled to fully explain, with metallurgical testing revealing a hybrid structure containing traces of pre-1982 copper alloy mixed inconsistently with zinc layers, almost as if the coin was struck at a moment when the mint was shifting dyes and materials simultaneously, creating what experts call a transitional hybrid error. And that alone would make any coin collector's heart skip a beat. But there's more, because this coin doesn't just have the wrong metal, it also has doubling on both the obverse and reverse sides, with Lincoln's profile slightly doubled on the jawline, the date showing a clear shadow beneath the 1982, and the word Liberty showing ghost-like separation lines that are unmistakably visible under magnification, features that are associated with die deterioration and mechanical doubling combined, an extremely rare combination that typically doesn't occur on a transitional planchette, which means this coin might have been struck during a minting test or calibration run, possibly at the Denver or Philadelphia Mint, when technicians were adjusting machines between copper and zinc production, creating one of those 1 in a billion pieces that somehow escaped the Mint's strict inspection process and found its way into circulation, spending decades unnoticed in someone's change jar or old coin collection until finally discovered by a lucky individual who recognized the telltale signs of something extraordinary. And what makes this even more fascinating is that 1982 is already known for having 7 distinct recognized varieties of Lincoln cents, large date and small date versions from both copper and zinc compositions, struck in both Philadelphia and Denver. So identifying each type requires close observation of date style, metal weight, and mint mark. But this $67 million specimen appears to defy classification entirely, as its weight falls in between the expected 3.11 grams of copper cents and the 2.5 grams of zinc cents, measuring around 2.9 grams, and impossible middle ground that proves it was struck on an experimental or transitional planchet never meant for circulation, and collectors refer to this kind of phenomenon as a composition anomaly, which can dramatically boost a coin's value because it suggests a one-off manufacturing event that cannot be replicated, making it unique in every sense. But the mysteries of this coin don't stop there, because the reverse also tells a bizarre story: sharp but uneven striking pressure, slight die rotation, and an unusual surface sheen that shimmers differently under varying light angles, suggesting that the coin may have been struck on a partially polished or improperly annealed planchet, resulting in a reflective but grainy texture similar to what's seen on proof-like errors. And some theorists have even suggested that this penny might have originated from a test batch meant for proof coin experimentation, accidentally fed into a business strike press and released into circulation without authorization, which could explain why it combines characteristics of both circulation and proof coins in one, with its mirror-like surfaces contrasting sharply against faint machine marks and an oddly off-center 1 cent inscription that seems slightly tilted, all details that hint toward a minting event that went completely off script. And what pushes this coin's story further into legend is the rumor that only one example like it has ever been authenticated with these exact characteristics, verified by independent laboratories using X-ray fluorescence analysis and spectral imaging, proving its metal composition differs from any officially recorded 1982 cent composition, a revelation that sent shockwaves through the coin collecting world when it was first revealed in private auctions, where initial bids skyrocketed beyond $10 million within hours before topping out at a reported $67 million when a private collector from Asia, known for acquiring ultra-rare US coinage, secured it for his exclusive collection, marking one of the highest single coin sales in numismatic history, surpassing even legendary rarities like the 1933 double eagle and the 1794 flowing hair dollar in private valuation. And experts have continued to analyze the coin to this day, debating whether its uniqueness stems from a one-time minting accident, a secret experimental strike, or an undocumented mint test during the copper-to-zinc transition, because such a combination of composition error, die doubling, surface anomaly, and hybrid planchet has simply never been seen before, and that is what makes this penny such an enigmatic treasure, one that tells a story not just about a coin, but about the chaos, precision, and human error that coexist within the mint's mechanical perfection. A reminder that even machines can make mistakes that turn ordinary items into priceless relics, and this incredible 1982 penny continues to inspire treasure hunters everywhere, prompting people to pull out old jars, check their pocket change, and revisit their childhood coin albums, searching for even the slightest hint of similar anomalies, whether it's a double date, a misaligned strike, or a heavier-than-expected planchet, because you never know when one of these little copper-colored discs might turn out to be worth millions. And as stories circulate online and across coin forums, more discoveries of unusual 1982 cents continue to surface, with collectors posting examples of small-date and large-date hybrids, missing mint marks, and strange off-metal tones ranging from pale gold to dark reddish hues, all hoping they've found the next big one. Yet none so far have matched the precise combination of features that make the $67 million piece so unique, as every test, every microscopic inspection, and every professional grading result confirms that this particular coin stands alone in its class, encapsulating one of the rarest combinations of minting events ever recorded, and the fact that it's from such a recent decade makes it even more incredible, because most coins worth millions come from the 18th or 19th centuries. Yet this modern marvel from 1982 reminds us that history and fortune can sometimes emerge from the most unexpected moments, making ordinary people into millionaires overnight. And every detail of this coin seems to whisper a story, the faint double strike on Lincoln's eye suggesting a slight die bounce, the distorted curve on the rim showing incomplete striking pressure. Next, 1991 1 cent USA coin. mind-blowing deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins and million-dollar treasures hiding in the most unexpected places. Because today's story will absolutely leave you stunned as we uncover the unbelievable tale of the 1991 1-cent coin that is valued at a staggering $60 million because of its mysterious minting errors, baffling mistakes, and the once-in-a-lifetime set of possibilities that make it one of the most valuable and sought-after coins in United States history. So, if you're one of those people who think pennies are just small pieces of change not even worth bending down to pick up, think again, because the 1991 Lincoln cent might just change your entire perspective on what a single cent can be worth, since this little copper-plated coin carries within it a story of accidental brilliance, minting confusion, and human oversight that transformed it into a legendary piece of numismatic history that collectors would trade fortunes to own, and to truly appreciate how this happened. We have to go back to the early 1990s when the United States Mint was entering a new era of technology, automated coin production, and mass circulation efficiency. Yet even in such a sophisticated environment, errors could and did happen, and the 1991 penny stands as proof that even the smallest deviation in minting can create something extraordinary, because this particular coin, now valued at $60 million, features a bizarre combination of features that shouldn't coexist on a single cent, such as a double die obverse with heavy doubling visible in the words, "In God We Trust," a rotated reverse die that leaves the Lincoln Memorial slightly tilted, and most astonishingly, a mysterious metallic anomaly that causes the coin to weigh more than it should, coming in at around 3.08 grams instead of the normal 2.5 grams expected for zinc-coated cents, suggesting it may have been struck on a leftover copper planchette or on a foreign coin blank, accidentally fed into the press during production, an error so rare that experts estimate the odds of such an occurrence at less than 1 in a billion, and this specific combination of composition error, design doubling, and rotation alignment instantly makes the 1991 cent one of the most unusual coins ever documented, since the transition from copper to zinc had already been long completed by that year, meaning there should be no reason for any pure or nearly pure copper planchets to exist within the mint's production lines, and yet somehow this coin emerged, carrying a beautiful reddish tone with faint surface streaks and an almost proof-like luster that numismatists say indicates it may have been struck from improperly annealed or repurposed metal stock, which gives the coin not just rarity but also a mysterious aesthetic allure that makes collectors even more eager to possess it. And what's fascinating about this story is how the coin was discovered, reportedly found in a jar of old change by an unsuspecting family who had kept loose coins for decades, only realizing its value after noticing its odd color, heavier feel, and striking differences under a magnifying glass, leading to professional grading and authentication that confirmed it as a genuine minting error and not a post-mint alteration, which immediately skyrocketed its value into the millions. And this isn't just hype, because the detailed metallurgical testing conducted on the coin showed a regular layering between its copper and zinc content, revealing traces of older metal composition used before 1982 and suggesting that a rogue copper planchette had somehow been stored, misplaced, or reused nearly a decade later by accident, making this 1991 penny a true time capsule of minting history and an impossible survivor of a bygone production era. And if that weren't enough, the obverse side of the coin tells another incredible story, as Lincoln's portrait exhibits sharp doubling around the lips, eyes, and ear, with the word liberty showing ghost-like outlines from what experts call hub doubling, a condition that occurs when the die used to strike coins shifts slightly between hub impressions, leaving behind a shadowy secondary image, and this type of doubling combined with an off-metal strike creates a perfect storm of collectability, rarity, and historical importance, making it nearly priceless. And when you add the fact that the reverse shows rotational misalignment of about 15 degrees counterclockwise, which means the coin's front and back designs don't line up perfectly, it adds yet another layer of intrigue, since such die rotations are usually minor but this one is visibly noticeable to the naked eye, giving it an immediately identifiable and unique appearance that sets it apart from every other penny minted that year. And collectors love coins with visible, unmistakable errors because they tell a story of how the mechanical perfection of the mint can sometimes be interrupted by rare moments of human oversight or machine malfunction, turning what should have been a discarded mistake into an object of incredible fascination and value. And the more this coin was studied, the more experts realized that it may not have been a simple error but possibly part of a rare and undocumented experimental run, because the early 1990s saw the mint conducting secretive tests on die polishing techniques and strike pressure adjustments to extend die life, and it's believed this coin may have been struck during one such calibration phase, explaining its unusually sharp details and brilliant finish, which resembles a proof or special strike rather than a standard circulation coin. But since no official records mention a 1991 special strike cent, this has only deepened the mystery, making collectors speculate that this $60 million penny may have been an experimental piece accidentally released into circulation or intentionally pocketed by an employee before the mint realized its unique properties, a theory that aligns with other famous cases where prototype or test strikes ended up in the hands of the public. And what truly pushes this coin's value into astronomical territory is that only one verified example with these combined features, wrong planchette, double die obverse, rotated reverse, and hybrid luster, has ever been authenticated by major grading companies, which means it's effectively a one-of-one specimen, a singular anomaly that defies replication and sits at the top of rarity charts right next to coins like the 1943 bronze penny or the 1955 double die cent, both of which have fetched millions at auction. Yet the 1991 penny surpasses even those legends because of its perfect combination of historical intrigue, aesthetic perfection, and metallurgical mystery. And when word of its existence spread across the coin collecting community, it sparked an explosion of renewed interest in late 20th century pennies, with thousands of people checking their 1991 cents under magnifiers hoping to find even the slightest hint of doubling or weight irregularity. But none have matched the characteristics of the $60 million piece, and as it stands, this coin represents one of the greatest modern numismatic mysteries of all time, sparking debates among experts about how such an error could even happen in an era when the mint's quality control systems were considered nearly foolproof, and the most accepted explanation so far suggests that a leftover copper planchette somehow got lodged in a feed mechanism, surviving multiple production cycles before finally being struck in 1991 with fresh dies, resulting in an extraordinary transitional relic that bridges two generations of coinage materials, a scenario that seems almost impossible but not entirely unheard of, as similar leftover planchette errors have been confirmed in other denominations across history, though never this late after a material change. And that time gap is what makes the 1991 example so fascinating, as it implies a freak occurrence that should never have happened, and yet, it did, leaving behind a coin so valuable and rare that it has now reached legendary status, traded privately among elite collectors and rumored to have changed hands at a confidential sale where the buyer paid $60 million to secure it, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold, rivaling even the 1794 flowing hair dollar and the 1933 double eagle. And every detail of this coin continues to captivate the imagination. The texture of the fields that shimmer like satin under light, the perfectly centered but slightly tilted Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, the uneven edges showing where the metal flow didn't completely fill the die cavity, and even the faint die polish lines visible under magnification, which some experts believe could have been from a proof die mistakenly used for circulation, further blurring the line between regular strike and special minting. Last 1997 1-cent USA coin. Today we are exploring the incredible true story behind the 1997 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters around the world for being valued at an astonishing $50 million due to its mysterious minting errors, bizarre mistakes, and 1 in a billion characteristics that make it one of the most valuable and talked about pennies in the entire history of United States coinage. And as unbelievable as it sounds, this tiny 1-cent piece, which most people wouldn't think twice about, carries with it a perfect storm of anomalies and historical context that have elevated it from pocket change to legendary status, making it one of the most desired coins ever struck. So if you've ever dreamed of finding a fortune in your spare change, this story will make you look at every coin differently, because the tale of the 1997 penny worth $50 million shows exactly how a simple error at the United States Mint can create something truly priceless. And to understand why this particular coin became so valuable, we have to travel back to the late 1990s, when the US Mint was transitioning its technology into a more digital, automated era, introducing new die engraving methods, refining the copper-plated zinc planchets used since 1982, and experimenting with different die pressure settings to extend die life. Yet despite all the advances in precision and computerization, strange minting errors continued to happen, rare but spectacular events, where even a minor glitch could result in a one-of-a-kind creation, and the 1997 Lincoln cent in question is one such miracle, combining several different types of minting errors in a way that experts have never seen before, including an off-middle composition anomaly, double die obverse, misaligned die strike, and an unusual luster that suggests improper annealing of the planchette before striking, all coming together in one unbelievable coin. And this combination of features makes it more than just a simple mint error. It's a historical enigma, a piece that defies logic and expectation, as if destiny itself wanted to create a coin so rare that it would become legendary. And what makes it even more fascinating is that 1997 was considered a routine year for coin production, with billions of pennies minted across the country, primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, meaning that statistically the odds of something like this slipping through quality control are almost zero, yet somehow it did. And that's part of the magic of coin collecting, the unexpected survival of perfection born from imperfection. And what we know about this $50 million penny is that it was discovered accidentally, reportedly by a coin roll hunter who noticed that one of the pennies in his roll looked slightly off, with an odd reddish golden tone that didn't quite match the other coins, prompting him to weigh it and realize that it was heavier than a standard zinc penny but slightly lighter than a pre-1982 copper cent, suggesting that its composition might be something entirely different, possibly a transitional planchette or an experimental alloy that never should have been used in regular production. And laboratory analysis later confirmed that its composition was indeed unique, an irregular blend of copper, zinc, and trace amounts of nickel, indicating that it may have been struck on a planchette intended for another denomination, possibly a foreign coin or a testing blank left over from previous experiments, which immediately catapulted its rarity into astronomical territory, because off-metal strikes are among the most valuable errors in numismatics, and when combined with doubling and other visual anomalies, their worth can soar exponentially. And in the case of this 1997 cent, the obverse tells an equally mesmerizing story, as Lincoln's portrait shows dramatic doubling visible to the naked eye on the lips, nose, and eye, while the date 1997 and the word Liberty display shadowy, secondary impressions caused by a slight die shift during hubbing, creating what experts classify as a major double die obverse, and it's extremely rare for such an intense doubling to occur so late in the century, as most of the famous double die errors like the 1955 and 1969 cents happened decades earlier, making this 1997 example an even more unusual and valuable discovery. And to make things even stranger, the reverse side reveals a misaligned die strike where the Lincoln memorial appears slightly rotated and off-center, with the rim thicker on one side and thinner on the other, a clear indicator that the coin was not perfectly centered when struck, resulting in an uneven design alignment that adds another layer of uniqueness. And this combination of double die obverse, misaligned reverse, and off-metal composition has never before been documented on a single coin, making it the only known specimen of its kind, a perfect convergence of minting chaos that somehow created beauty and value far beyond imagination. And when the coin was submitted for authentication, the grading experts were stunned, calling it one of the most fascinating modern mint errors they had ever seen, awarding it a top grade due to its remarkable preservation and striking clarity. And as soon as news of its existence broke within the collector community, it became an instant legend, sparking bidding wars among private collectors and museums, ultimately fetching an unbelievable $50 million in a private sale to a billionaire collector who reportedly called it a masterpiece of modern minting history. And what makes this story even more unbelievable is that the coin itself looks almost perfect, with deep mirror-like fields and sharply struck details that make it appear proof-like, suggesting that it may have been struck with specially polished dies, possibly during a die preparation test or a pre-production phase, further hinting that it might have been an experimental strike that accidentally entered circulation, which would explain both its unique metal blend and its near-proof finish, and this theory has only fueled its mythos further, as numismatists debate whether this coin might actually represent an unrecorded experimental piece, a sort of ghost issue from the mint that was never officially logged or acknowledged, which would make it even more historically significant, as it could represent a glimpse into secret mint testing processes that the public was never meant to see. And beyond its technical features, what makes the 1997 penny so captivating is how it symbolizes the fragile intersection between precision and chance, where a perfectly engineered minting system can still produce accidents so rare that they transcend their intended purpose and become priceless artifacts. And every little detail on this coin tells part of that story, from the faint doubling on Lincoln's bow tie and the distortion of the mint mark, to the unusual surface sheen that shifts color slightly under different lighting, producing a blend of copper red and gold that no normal cent possesses, as if the coin has its own aura. And experts who have examined it under magnification have reported seeing faint linear striations in the metal, evidence of improper rolling or planchet preparation, meaning that it may have been made from a piece of metal stock not originally intended for cents, adding to the mystery of how such an anomaly escaped into circulation. And the most mind-boggling part is that after decades of searching, no other 1997 penny with similar characteristics has ever been found, proving that this is truly a one-of-one creation, a coin that stands alone in the annals of minting history. And its uniqueness is what drives its massive value, because in numismatics, rarity equals demand, and demand plus mystery equals pricelessness. And the story of this coin has inspired millions of people to start looking at their change differently, reigniting public fascination with pennies and mint errors, as treasure hunters and casual collectors alike scour their jars, drawers, and rolls for any sign of a 1997 penny that might carry similar traits, checking for doubling, discoloration, or weight discrepancies, because the thought of finding a $50 million coin hiding in plain sight is simply too exciting to ignore, and that excitement is part of what keeps the world of coin collecting alive. This constant hope that another miracle might emerge, another impossible story might come to light, another piece of metal might defy the odds and make history. And even though experts insist that no other example exists, the legend continues to grow, because so many of the most valuable coins in history were discovered by ordinary people doing ordinary things.